Morning. Thank you very much for joining me today. We'll be starting in just a few moments. Okay, it's 8 a.m. Good morning, everyone. Thank you very much for joining this month's Asia Science Live webinar series. My name is Dr. Jim Carey, and I'll be your presenter today. A couple of things before we get started. First, everyone is muted. However, if you look at the top right of your screen, you'll see a text box with a question mark in it. This is where all questions can be submitted. I'll be reviewing your questions at the end of today's webinar. If for some reason I'm unable to answer your question, I'll ensure that is answered via email after today's webinar. A little bit of background about me before we get started. I've been with ACE for over 7 years. I have a PhD in chemistry from the University of Illinois, Urbana-Champaign, where I designed artificial metalloproteins for asymmetric catalysis. I've worked for a few lab startups, and I was a tenured professor of applied chemistry in Taiwan. During this time, I acquired several patents and over 30 publications in peer-reviewed journals. All of our sales managers at ACE have chemistry degrees and backgrounds in science to better understand and serve your laboratory needs. This can be particularly important when it comes to designing custom glassware, as you will see in some examples today. Excuse me. Today, I'll be talking to you about when off the shelf won't cut it, the power of custom glassware. We discuss everything from design to reality, the simple process of designing and ordering customs from ACE Glass. So please stay tuned for our next presentation. Stay tuned on social media in the coming weeks. I also wanted to note that we're looking to hear suggestions for any future webinars. So you can email them to me, or you can email them to sales@aceglass.com. So let's begin. Sorry. Okay, so let's begin. What are customs? Customs are glassware or arrangements of glassware that are not found in our catalogs. We have over 13,000 catalog items to choose from. However, scientists often cannot find a solution for their unique or scientific needs. So sometimes they'll need help finding a catalog item or determining if, in fact, they need a custom. So today, I'll talk to you about the process from design to reality of custom glassware from ACE Glass. So below is an example back in the cannabis CBD day where a customer put together a short path distillation rig using all catalog parts. So eventually this migrated into a custom high throughput, high efficiency, low vacuum system we have shown here on the right, which is a custom. So I've broken apart custom glass into 7 parts. So first step is ordering custom glass. Do I need a custom part, or can I simply use a catalog item? So this is best worked through with your local sales ACE Glass manager. So contact us and we can help you determine, do you need a custom part or not? So the next one is, okay, so I need a custom. So what do I need to do? Well, you need to draw a rough diagram on a piece of paper, or write it out in detail, or tell us what you need. So once we determine feasibility and understand your needs, then it's quotation time. So the customer will then, after we send you a quotation, the customer will then submit a purchase order to ACE. So once we receive the purchase order, we'll draw the CAD and send it to the customer for approval. In step 6, the customer reviews the CADs very carefully with their local sales manager and requests any changes if necessary. If there are changes needed, then we go back and forth and redraw and reconsider and things like that. Then step 7, the customer signs the CAD and returns the ACE if no changes are necessary. So in the event that there's an issue here, we just go back and forth between 5 and 6 before we execute the order. But the final step is the customer signs the CAD and returns the ACE. So here's an example of, customer wanted something custom, but we were able to fit it into catalog items. So the customer needed a pressure relief manifold for a condenser. They connected a very small condenser to a very large recirculator, and it was a failure. And so their safety officer asked them to put a safety measure in their condenser area. So here we have a ACE glass pressure relief manifold where the fluid after the condenser flows outward. And if there's any pressure buildup, it's relieved by the pressure relief manifold into the hood. So did the customer need a custom here? A customer need a customization here? No. We were able to pick all these from catalog items. So yeah, so if you're not sure if you need a custom part, talk to us. We can help. Sometimes we can get away from the custom area. Often customers will need columns or custom columns with different IDs and different ends. So we ask them to fill out this information. A lot of times we can find a column that's already in our catalog. If not, we'll go through the customization process. So now we determine that the customer needs a custom piece. So we'll need a drawing or an explanation or something written out. Here we have from 2018, I saved this one. A customer was talking about a short path custom. Recently, we have a retreat curve. I'll talk more about this later. So the point of this slide is it could be really rough, childlike. We don't care. Some customers like to draw it out more elaborately, like here. It doesn't matter as long as we understand what you're trying to do. Just draw it out, and then we'll discuss it. So once we understand what you need, your local manager will open a ticket with our technical team and our experts. So ACE will consider your request, and then we'll send you a quotation based on the ticket information if the project is feasible. So here's an example of where we send a customer quotation. Here's the quotation number, here's the ticket number, here's a description of the item, and here's the item number. So if this is a custom, there'll be a D number right here. So one thing to pay attention is that we have our terms at the bottom. They include the expiration date on the quote. And then we often put lead times here, and keep in mind those lead times are based on the time of quotation. So if you spend some time to make a drawing and sign a drawing or delay in placing your order, these lead times could change. So step 4 is the customer places their order using a purchase order. And then after we receive the purchase order, ACE will then draw the CAD and send it to a customer for approval. So here we have a recent example of a custom 6-liter dual pressure reactor assembly. And as you can see here, there's a D number on it. This is custom. This system is highly customized in terms of its head, attachments, and things like that. One thing you'll want to notice is that we have dimensions written here. You need to make sure this will fit in your hood. We have everything drawn out here on the side. If there's anything that you would like us to add, you could draw it in over here. So step 6 is reviewing carefully, back and forth with your manager or with your team, and make sure this is exactly what you need. If you need changes, you can write them here, draw arrows, write it over here, send it back to us. And then step 7 is once you figure out, okay, this is exactly what I need, then you go ahead and sign it and date it. So the customer signs the CAD and returns it to ACE if no changes are necessary. There's a lot of ways of doing this. We'll send you a DocuSign, which you can sign. You can receive the CAD and print it and sign it. You can take a picture of it and text it. You can take a picture of it, download it, and email it to us, whatever is easier for you. The one thing I want to note is that this is often, the signing of the CAD is often the rate determining step for custom glass. And this can often extend the estimated lead times that we gave you on your quotation. So here we have this recent example that was shown on the CAD. We've got a customized head. We've got customized adapters here. The list goes on and on. This was shown in our assembly room back at the factory. And then our live sample in the laboratory is shown here. I wanted to point out that this was a very complex system, but ACE makes this very simple for people to design. So we have experts, we have ways of making sure we ask all the right questions. So in this case, we had to determine, okay, hood size, how many reactors can we fit in here? Do we need a single stand or dual stand? What kind of jack connections do we need for the, for the recirculator? So, and I often use Ulabo to heat and cool our reactors. And you can see that here we have 3 Ulabo reactors in the side of the hood. And there's many things that we need to consider in choosing which Ulabo unit to use. So these reactors are designed with Ulabo circulators. We had to determine length of tubing, what was the temperature of the solution, what was the time to temperature, what were the exotherm considerations, and basically the bottom line is how many watts of heating cooling were needed to satisfy the reaction conditions. Those are all predetermined with the help of Ulabo and their heating cooling curves that they develop based off of your solutions and all the conditions. So moving right along to all the customizations that were happening here, we customized this with a pressure head, and we were able to adapt this with Hamilton probes using custom taps and bushings. We like Hamilton probes because they all have the same diameter probe. It's easy to adapt to our systems, but if not, we have other ways of adapting whatever probe you need. So this is a 6-liter jacketed reactor with a custom pressure head, ACE thread adapters, and Hamilton probes. This customer also wanted a jacketed filter or unjacketed filter reactor that can handle a lot of weight. So we used our modular stand. And by the way, you can't see the crank, a hand crank here. We're also developing an electronic version or electric version, but this will move the plate down so then you can collect the product off the bottom. So this is a 20-liter jacketed filter reactor on modular stand with ACE threads on the head, hazard rated motor, and custom impellers. And I'll talk more about custom impellers later. So keep in mind that this 20-liter filter reactor is in stock today. So place your order today in order to get in time for Christmas. All right, so now that I talked about a specific example, I'd like to show you more about other examples from the history that I thought were interesting. So the first one is a jacketed 20-liter jacketed filter reactor on a universal stand with a hazard rated motor. So this filter reactor is unique because it has a simple release clamp, a Duran clamp, that will allow you to drop the filter mechanism down and collect your product. So this is very useful for a product not very heavy or it's a flocculant. You want to make sure that it doesn't go all over the place. You can drop it down gently and collect your product. Our competitors often have theirs on top of this platform, so you'll have to lift the reactor off. So the advantage here is that you can just drop the plate down. And again, we have a live picture of a reactor on the modular stand. This is from one of our shows we went to. This is a 50-liter jacketed non-filter reactor on a modular stand. And then we have an interesting disposable filter reactor a customer asked us to invent. In this case, the customer did a reaction in glass, and when they did a precipitation reaction, it stuck to the glass and they couldn't get it off very easily and they lost product. So they wanted to do the reaction in glass and then do the precipitation in a plastic environment. So they did the reaction in glass and then placed it into this disposable filter reactor and then filtered it. And then once they collected the product, they then put it back in the original reaction flask and did the next step. So here we have shown is the pressure head over here with a pressure bearing. So here's where you lock in your filter membrane. So in the bottom here, we have the filter membrane. There's little holes where screws would put in to hold the filter in place. Here's the customer holding the reactor. An interesting note is that we had to design a custom clamp as well. So not only we designed custom glass and adapters and things of that, we also designed custom clamps and stands and things like that. Here we have a customer wanted a customized beaker where they didn't want to stir from overhead. They wanted to stir from the bottom. They wanted to be able to have access, easy access to the container here. So they wanted a wide neck, basically beaker instead of reactor. Again, here we showing it paired with the allowable system for the cryogenic capability. And the customer wanted a mantle, so we worked with Glassware to generate a custom mantle here for. And here you can see a better picture of it there on the right-hand side. I know I'm talking about custom glass here, but if you can't use glass for the fluorine and organic, some of the organic chemists, we do have custom fluorine reactors as well. Please note that we don't have jacketed versions, so you must use heating and cooling coils, but all the components of these reactors are PTFE, whether it be the condenser, funnel, stir bearing, stir shaft, etc. So I mentioned before, we're going to talk about impellers. So here is our catalog impellers, and here is the one that was drawn in the beginning, where it was this was supposed to be a recurve. This is into what it looked like. Here we had a top view, side view, and bottom view. The customer wanted something beefy so that when the temperature got hot, it didn't warp or bend or whatever. So this worked exactly as we predicted, and the customer is very happy and ordered several of them. So we also have custom impellers that are made out of stainless steel, PTFE coated for bioreactors. We also make custom spherical flasks with side adapters. Here's a 50-liter non-filter jacketed reactor. We have a similar reactor here with customized distillation kit and customized side shelf for the receiving flask. Here we have a 150-liter jacketed filter reactor with an interesting mechanism that allows us to drop down and help support as you move it outwards from underneath the stand. And here is a custom from a customer recently, was able to use Ace Glass to help them publish some paper. Here they have basically beaded pipe clamps holding their condenser or column together with customized Ace threads on the top and bottom. Here you can see on the right-hand side, this is their basically their custom piece and working here. So they're trying different column materials for their chemistry. And they were able to publish it in a recent journal of methane. Basically, they were using bacteria to recycle their media through here. And they have methane being purged through here. And the ability of the bacteria, the methane trophic bacteria were able to decompose the methane, and they were able to measure the off-gas composition by GC. And amazingly, they were able to obtain almost 2 grams per cubic meter per hour using this method, and they found that cellulose beads were the best ones. So congratulations to Professor Leon He of University of Washington, Seattle, and using a custom glass, Ace Glass column to publish some work. And with that, I will switch over to asking questions. That completes my talk for today. So I'm looking at some questions here. We have a broken glassware to repaired. Does Ace handle repairs, and how should we initiate the process? Yes, we actually gave seminars on broken glass several times. So if you have broken glass, the best thing to do is to reach out to your local sales manager and send them pictures of it, and they'll open a return ticket and see if your item can be repaired or not. Okay. Okay, here's another question coming in. Are customs much more expensive than catalog items? That's a great question. They are, on average, modestly more expensive than catalog items. We always try to make sure we can use catalog items whenever possible. We determine time and material for every project, and every project is different. So it's a difficult question to answer. Sometimes they can actually be cheaper than catalog items, and we usually try to direct the customer in the more inexpensive way. Yeah, so remember, please submit your questions at the top right on the question mark area. Okay, here's another question coming in. What are common lead times for customs? This is a very complex question, actually, to answer. So lead times are determined at the time of quotation. They can rely on many factors, including availability of materials and the glass blowing queue. On average, I would say that the lead times can vary from a few weeks to several weeks, depending on the complexity and the availability of materials. Here's another question coming in. Oh, how often do customs items end up being included in the catalog? That's a great question. Let me go ahead and ask our production manager would know how to answer that the best way. I don't know how to answer that. I know that I came up with 3 custom ideas with customers, and only one of them ended up in the catalog. So that's a great question. Thank you for that. All right. Here's another question. What if the custom I ordered does not work for my application? Can I return it? That's a great question. Unfortunately, customs are not returnable. However, if we can modify it, you have the option of sending the item back and having us modify the custom. So, however, this will involve the entire process again. So, how can I initiate the custom glassware design process? I have inquired through email a couple times, but haven't received any response. So maybe I'm using the wrong channel. So yeah, I'm not sure what happened there. You can go ahead and send me an email, and then I will forward that to my manager, and she'll take care of it right away. So the way you initiate the glassware design process is give us a call. You can email us, that kind of thing. So maybe Instagram or something like that may not be the right place to start that, since they're not monitored, as frequently. Let's go to the thread. Okay. Here's another question. So are your filter reactors Noosh reactors? That's a great question. Noosh means something very specific depending on the context. This usually means very high pressure capabilities. Note that while we offer pressure rated filter reactors up to 6 liters that are rated to 35 psi at 100, the filter reactors, that is, larger reactors are not rated for pressure or vacuum. Okay. Here's another question. Can I customize my own glass? I think what you're saying is that, can you customize glassware that's in your lab already? So if that's the question, yes, tell us what you'd like to do. Take a picture of your glass or draw it on a piece of paper or write out what you'd like us to do, and we'll consider it just like any other custom. But the only difference would be you'd have to open up an RMA form where you would return or send your glassware item for customization to ACE. And we do this quite often, actually. So that's a great question. So there were a lot of things that were discussed in this topic. If you would like to discuss that more with me or with ACE, just reach out to us. I'm going to show you in a second the best ways to reach out to us. Are there any other questions before I move on to my concluding slides? I guess I'll ask at the very end again. So let me see here. So yeah, so basically, if you need to contact us, for example, if you need to contact me, I'm in the red area here. I'm Jim Carey. I'm the Western Sales Manager. Here's my telephone number. Here's my email. And you can find where you live and your corresponding sales manager from this map. So please follow us on social media. We'd love to hear your ideas and your requests for future webinars. We take this very seriously. We would love to hear for future topic suggestions, and we're definitely looking forward to covering those. You can email them to me, your ideas to me, or to sales@aceglass.com. So please follow us on LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, and look for notices for our next webinar. So thank you for your kind attention. If you need help with a custom, give us a call. If you have any questions at all, please do not hesitate to reach out. I'm going to look back and see if we have any questions. So yep, that's the end of the questions. So I'll just end the webinar there. Thank you very much for your kind attention and your patience with me. I'm suffering from a cold here. But anyway, have a great day, and thank you for considering Ace Glass, and we'll talk soon.